Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror film reviews, ratings, rankings, and rumors. Now for your hosts, Danny, Joel, and Katrina.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
This is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Coma Katrina.
Hello.
Yeah.
Or
And we
be
got
silent.
Jumpy Joel. Yeah.
Hey guys, what's up? Oh man.
We're going to talk about a very jumpy movie about someone who's in a coma, and this is
Not very jumpy.
Insidious. No, he's not jumping.
He's not
a lot.
jumping.
This is Insidious from 2010, I believe.
Yeah,
2010.
I think so.
All right. Yeah. So Joel, who is a part of this?
All right, so this one stars Patrick Wilson. He was in I gotta do this one first. He was in Phantom of the Opera.
Oh.
Is he the Phantom?
No, he's
okay.
the love interest in the movie. Yeah. He was in Aquaman, and he's going to be in the sequel of that too.
Okay.
And he's going to be in an upcoming Conjuring movie, and they already have a title for it. Conjuring Last Rites. That's R-I-T-E-S. So,
All
not
right.
like Last Rites, like R-I-G-H-T. And then we got Rose Byrne, because they're two different things. So. We got Rose Byrne. She was in the first two, the only two, Neighbors 1 and 2, the sequel or the comedies with Seth Rogen. She was in 28 Weeks Later, and Bridesmaids.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And then we got Ty Simpkins. He's Dalton. He's Coma Boy.
Coma Boy.
Coma Boy. And he actually has a pretty impressive resume too. He was in Jurassic World, Iron Man 3, and the new Brendan Fraser movie, The Whale. That just came out last year. Yeah, last year. And this was written by Lee Winnell. We have talked about this guy many times on this podcast throughout the couple of years. He wrote The Invisible Man, Saws 1 through 3, and Dead Silence.
Yeah. Which
after these Insidious movies, I think the only James Wan movies we'll have left is Dead Silence that we haven't done yet. So we gotta cover that one. And then do a ranking of all his horror movies. Leads me to James Wan is the director. He directed Saw, The Conjuring, and I had to put this one in because the new one came out recently, Furious 7, which is the sequel to Fast X, the Fast and Furious movies. So he did the emotional one, the one that Paul Walker died while making. So
that's right.
Yeah.
All right. James Wan, he keeps popping back up in our reviews here.
Yeah.
All right. So Insidious, it is about a family looking to prevent evil spirits from trapping their comatose child in a realm called the Further.
The Further.
Yeah. You don't learn about the Further until kind of deep into the movie. So I don't really like that was mentioned there, but anyways. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to start adding in kind of critic scores and IMDb scores before we talk about the movie. So, Katrina, what were the scores for Insidious?
So, on IMDb,
yes.
I am terrible with that. We've got a 6.8 out of 10.
Okay.
Now, Joel was explaining that there is some kind of skew within the horror genre on IMDb because it is a general public score,
Right.
Mhm.
and on any of these scoring ratings that we're going to be giving. And with being a general public, it's not really from the horror perspective, it's from the general public's perspective. So oftentimes the score within the horror community may be higher
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
the scores that we're going to give.
because I'm definitely not giving this a 6.8.
Yeah.
That's a very low score for me for these particular movies that we've been doing.
Yeah.
But it's still a good score for IMDb for horror.
Yeah.
For
Anything
horror
in the
IMDb.
sixes on
Yeah.
IMDb, that's like in the
Yeah.
90s for us.
Yeah, pretty
80s,
much.
90s. Yeah.
80s
Yeah.
and 90s. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much how that goes.
Yeah. So then for Rotten Tomatoes, there's a tomato meter and a audience score.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tomato meter
So-
is the critics,
Yeah.
Okay.
their score.
Is it fresh or
Um,
rotten?
So for the tomato meter, you got a 66%.
Okay.
All right.
And for the audience meter or audience score, you got a 62%.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Critics
Yeah.
liked it more on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I'm very interested looking at those scores and very curious to know what my other folks are going to be thinking, because I know what I think. So let's get to it.
Yeah, let's go. So actually one more piece of business to take care of. So got up here. Oh, you see that guy up there?
I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
do that at
On
the
the
end,
top?
but okay.
That guy on the top. Well, that is none other than Sting from when he was in WCW. I'm a big wrestling fan. Haven't really been keeping up with it lately, but just overall throughout my life, I've been a fan since I was a kid. And I got that mask recently, and I posted it on Instagram on our Instagram page to see if anybody knew who that was, because if it was like Hulk Hogan or so, people know who that is.
Yeah.
But Sting's a little more, a little lesser known, and especially in his WCW days.
Mhm.
So I thought I would put up who can guess this, and if you get it right, then I will shout you out on our next episode. So
Well, you just gave it away, though.
Oh, well, it
Well,
was already
it's already been
it's already been
posted.
done.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
So we
Okay.
already had a winner.
yeah, we already got a winner.
Oh,
This is
okay. All
done.
right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Like after this has been posted.
Yeah, you
Like,
have to
have
be
you been paying attention to what I just
you have to be following our Instagram page to be
Yes.
able to be a part of that.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to do games like this on our social media. See if you guys
Yeah.
are paying attention.
Yeah.
So the winner and the person who gets the shout out is none other than my mom. Yeah. She has a Pampered Chef Instagram business page. And she commented Sting on there. And then I was like, how do you know who this is? I wouldn't expect you to know. And she said she figured it was a wrestler, and then she did Google for the rest.
Oh,
So-
that's cheating.
She kind of cheated,
Yeah.
but
But she
yeah.
was motivated
Yeah.
to get her name out there.
True.
She just started this business. So we want to help her out. And so her Instagram handle, right,
Yeah.
is Cheryl L. Pampered Chef.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I love Pampered Chef. So if anyone else out there loves Pampered Chef, she can be your next Pampered Chef lady.
Yeah. All those horror Pampered Chef fans.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite things, like during Halloween and stuff, is making like a fun Halloween spread. Maybe we'll have to post like the last year's spread. And one of the ways that I have so much fun cooking is all my Pampered Chef stuff. He knows.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, go check that out. But yeah, look out for our social media pages. I'm going to be posting stuff and seeing if you guys are looking at it, and we'll give you some shout outs on the page or on the episodes and everything.
I got to get back on TikTok, on our TikTok. I haven't
been
been on that in quite a while.
Okay, now let's get into Insidious, finally.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right, so James Wan, he saw, big deal, big hit. I feel like, Insidious was pretty big when it came out, but I think these days people think of James Wan and they think of The Conjuring.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily think of Insidious as much. The Conjuring just blew up so big with the whole universe and Annabelle and the Nun and all the spin-offs that have come from it, and then the 3 Conjuring movies. Even though James Wan technically, he's part of them, but he wasn't really beyond the first 2. He wasn't like that deep into it, like Annabelle and some of those other ones. He wasn't necessarily a writer or director of. But anyways, a lot of people don't think of Insidious, I don't think. And there's a new one coming out this year, Insidious 5.
5.
Yeah. So we're on the 5th movie. Yep. So we got to go through the first 4 and talk about them.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I'm going to say I am more of an Insidious fan than a Conjuring fan, I think. Watching these movies, I'm like, I feel more invested in the family, the story, the whole shebang with Insidious over Conjuring stuff. So that's just my hot take.
Okay, what about you, Joel?
Yeah, what do you think, Joel?
Insidious versus Conjuring.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing 1-to-1, like Insidious Chapter 1, we're in Conjuring 1. Not if we're talking about universe, I would probably say Insidious as like a whole.
Okay.
Because I was not a big fan of Conjuring 3.
Yeah.
And I think there was way too much CGI used in Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
That kind of like took away from it a little bit. But as Insidious to Conjuring, I don't really know. Like they're basically, as far as quality goes, they're on par with each other, I feel.
Yeah.
I do like the yeah. I don't know. The usage
put you on the
like
spot.
I know, I wasn't expecting it. The usage of music and sound in Insidious is creepier to me than it is in Conjuring. Like every time a horror movie will throw in like an old song, like from like the 30s, 40s or whatever, it adds an element of just creepiness for me. And the one that they use in Insidious is just like it's creepy.
Can you sing it?
It's really
for us?
No. Her voice gets really high. No. It's that what's it? Tiptoe Through the Tulips like song, whatever, when they move into their new house and yeah. It's just it's creepy.
Right.
I'm impressed that you remembered the words.
Yeah.
I watched it today. I watched all 3 of them back to back.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I had watched the first 2 like a couple weeks ago, but I was like, I'm gonna watch 3 anyway. I might as well watch all 3 of them. So yeah, it's pretty fresh in my mind, and so with that, it probably has a little bit of an edge over Conjuring for me.
Yeah.
Although I'm not like a huge fan of the kind of sci-fi aspect of the further that we're going to be going into.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I don't like the like subplot that's going to turn into like the main plot of Insidious Chapter 2 with the old woman who gets closer every
Okay.
time. It's just it's
No spoilers yet.
No, we'll do spoilers.
Oh, right now?
Yeah, throughout
Oh.
the whole thing.
I mean, yeah,
It's
Okay.
13
it's
years
13
old.
years old. People have seen
Well, I
Insidious
just
Chapter
saw it.
1.
First time.
But it's just it's a little weird. And it's, you know, it kind of, but it's still different and
Yeah.
something that we haven't really seen before in a like a haunted house type story.
Mhm.
So it has its ups and downs, I guess, for me. So
Okay.
I don't know. They're on par with me, really. I think
Okay.
they're very, yeah, they're up there.
So they're even for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty even.
And Insidious is higher for you.
Yeah.
In different ways, they're even.
Yeah.
They're definitely not the same type of movie, but
That's the thing. I think that's where it kind of goes a little bit above Conjuring. Also, I've seen Insidious less times. I've seen The
Mhm.
Conjuring probably more times.
It's
But
not the Conjuring's
why?
fault, though.
No, I know. But why I think Insidious is a little better is it has a uniqueness to it. I feel like
Mhm.
The Conjuring it's a haunted house movie, possession movie. It's like a great version of that, but
Mhm.
we've seen that so many times
Mm-hmm.
in different forms.
We haven't seen
Insidious,
the clap game.
right?
was-
That's why I'm saying it's a great version of that
Yeah.
story, but it is still basically a haunted house like possession
Mhm.
movie. Insidious, when you throw in the further, now you're getting into something that's more unique, even though it is kind of sci-fi, and I'm not usually a fan of that. It's not too sci-fi for me.
Yeah.
And so then you throw in that, and then you also throw in the kind of the twist to the movie that the different things that are happening. So you have the further, but then you also have the potential possession.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like two things kind of at the same time,
Mhm.
which adds a little more complexity, a little more meat to the story.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that a lot. And Lynn Shay, you didn't mention her as
I didn't. She will be mentioned in a
I
future
love
episode.
her. I've always liked her. She's in a lot of horror movies.
She is.
She's Robert Shay's wife. I don't know if they're still
Mhm.
married, but he's the guy that started New Line Cinema and started the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
It was weird
So,
seeing Lynn Shay in that that documentary that we watched of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
The Never Sleep
Like,
Again.
Yeah, she was in that. I was like, what? Okay, that's
Yeah.
She wasn't even. I don't even think she was in the movie, but
She was in the movie. Yeah, she was a
as
teacher.
like a like a very
Yeah.
like small part. But yeah,
Yeah.
she's been in like everything since.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's why to me it's just like a notch higher, just because of the story is a little more complex and a little more interesting versus The Conjuring. I think also one more thing. I think this movie is scarier than The Conjuring to me. It's rated PG-13.
Yeah.
Which is surprising to me because The Conjuring is rated R.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that there's much of a reason for it to be rated R other than it being like scary.
Mm-hmm.
There's not, I can't think of any like real violence in that movie,
Not
that's
really.
above a PG-13 rating.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, if you look at the reason, I think it's just like terrifying scenes, or, something that's just, it's so scary we had to make it R,
Yeah.
But I feel like Insidious deserved that.
I feel, well, Conjuring didn't have the two characters that kind of gave some comedy levity to Insidious.
True.
So it was Conjuring throughout the entire movie was just like it was
nonstop.
It was just it was nonstop. Just but there was a comedy duo that we get in this one with Lee Winnell as one of the people in there. so it kind of when it gets to a point where it gets starting to get too scary, they pop in and say something and kind of knock down the horror element a little bit with their comedy. So that, I mean, if they weren't in it, it might also be R. I don't know, because it is pretty intense all the way through. So
yeah, definitely. All right, so Katrina, let's go ahead and hear what you thought.
Okay, I 100% would say Insidious is above Conjuring for me, of the whole franchise.
Okay,
the first Conjuring I think is my favorite, and so that one is at level with Insidious, like real close. But for the whole franchise, Insidious is blowing Conjuring out the water for
That's how I feel too.
I definitely.
We haven't watched The Last Key yet.
The fourth one.
We've seen the 3 so far.
Yeah. So this is my first time watching Insidious. I hadn't ever seen any Insidious movies, and I am absolutely loving it. I told Danny I'm going to save this for the episode, so he hasn't even heard it yet. But I think this franchise could be one of my, like, I think this would be up there with Scream as my all-time favorite franchises in horror. Yeah, I am loving this.
Still got 2 more to go, so
I'm super excited. So one thing that I'm loving about this is each movie, it makes you like want to go watch the last one that you just saw, and so excited for the next one. Like it gets you like so excited to see another one, and is like, oh, I want to go watch that again. And I'm just like so excited to watch these movies over and over again and catch new little things. And I love how they're, I love how they're done. It's funny because I don't usually like jump scares. Like I'm not a fan of just like cheesy, like easy jump scares. Like that was one of my biggest complaints about Smile, was like, it was like this big jump scare for opening a can of cat food. But Insidious, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so scary and like jumpy, but for a reason. Like there's purpose to it, and it's not, I don't feel like it's done cheap. There are parts that I guess are, because even like when it just says Insidious, and it's like,
I was gonna ask how you felt about that opening title card, because that's something that's I've never seen that before in like a horror movie. Just boom, all of a sudden, like, and that's another
they definitely
thing where
crank it up for that.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, it was so loud. It was so loud. And it was like, okay, you just like already got my heart pounding. Like,
not falling asleep to this one.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So, you haven't fallen asleep.
I haven't. So there was the third one. I was laying down and I was very tired while we were watching it, but I still did not fall asleep. Like, I got to a point where I was like, oh no, am I gonna fall asleep? And then I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fall asleep with this movie. This movie is awesome. So it has me grabbed in the whole time for sure.
All right.
So yeah.
Nice.
So as far as the story for this, so we've got the family, typical family moving into a new house. And then you get the little boy hits his head, then goes into a coma. Not because he hit his head, but he goes into a coma. And then they start having all these experiences in the home where it's like, the door opened and the alarm went off. And, the mother's like hearing things on the baby monitor.
Yeah, the baby monitor, man.
Yeah, and the music.
I love those moments.
Yeah. The music that hits, and some of it's not even music, like it's just like sound
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's just- yeah.
Well, that's the
like,
thing.
Yeah.
And especially when you hear it through the baby monitor,
yeah.
like because your mind automatically, I don't know about for like people that aren't parents, but I know for me, I'm like, I hear a baby monitor and my mind automatically goes to the baby's room, and oh my gosh, something's in the baby's room, like, and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, no, like it just gets
Yeah.
you
She
so
was-
much.
She was kind of waiting around a little bit.
Yeah, she was like.
I know.
She's like, huh, what's going on in there?
I
She's
know.
kind of listening.
There were a few
Yeah.
times that I was yelling, like, go up there. Like,
Yeah, she had to wait.
Gonna wait till the baby's
started
crying before she
screaming,
does
yeah,
anything.
And then she.
yeah, because I think she
Went
was
up there.
questioning, like, am I actually hearing this
Right,
right?
right.
Like,
Mhm.
is this just feedback? Because that's
Yeah.
the thing is, like, there's like channels on a baby monitor
Right,
and stuff.
right.
Mhm.
And so, is this just feedback from something else or
Because
whatever?
it sounded like somebody like whispering or like
Yeah,
talking very
Yeah.
quietly. So it could have been just on a different frequency.
yeah, like
You know,
picking up the neighbor's baby
Mhm.
monitor or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, like those scenes are really good. So you start to see stuff like that, and then the grandmother. So can't think of the main guy's name, but his mom is in it quite a bit.
Josh?
Josh, is it
I
Josh?
think it's Josh. Josh. I'm pretty sure.
And there's a scene where they're looking at pictures, and she tells the wife, "Well, I'm
Mhm.
surprised you got him to sit still for a picture."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and you said it too, like,
Yeah.
what a thing to say. And he's an adult.
I know.
You can't sit
I'm
still
like-
for a picture.
And at that time, I was like, this is a weird relationship with the mom. Like, this mom has a weird relationship with this adult child,
Yeah.
thinking like, wow.
Well, you got him to sit still
Got
for a
him to-
picture.
Yeah.
And she was like serious about it too. It wasn't like a joke,
super
you know?
serious. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you find out later that there is a reason for that with
Mhm.
his history as being a child. So it kind of
History
takes
of being a child.
yeah, it kind of takes a little while for them to get into the whole further stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of a negative. I feel like the mother should have, like Josh's mom, should have brought this to the attention of everybody a little sooner.
But it's explained why she does that, because they totally wiped his memory of
right,
it.
right.
Mhm.
But it's clearly what's going on.
Because, well, I don't know that it was clearly, that was what was clearly going on for the grandma
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
Because she didn't, the wife didn't tell the grandma about it right away.
Well, they had to
About what?
move and everything. They moved, and that's when she was looking at the
Mhm.
pictures and saying, "Oh, you
Yeah.
got him to sit for a picture." Like they had to move houses because of all this.
Yeah.
So it, I just thought that she would have maybe said something a little sooner. But anyways,
Mhm.
so we discover that he has this ability. The son and Josh has this ability to, when they're sleeping, travel into this kind of this world for where the dead are, and they're able to travel in there and kind of explore and stuff. It's almost like they're having these like
Out of body experiences.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so this is when Lynn Shay gets in the movie. Elise, she's like a, I don't even know what you call them, like just
A medium?
a medium.
I think that's what it would
she
be
can communicate with the
called.
dead in the afterlife.
Yeah, medium, psychic, like it's
Yeah.
it's all pretty much wrapped up in one with
Yeah.
her.
So she then explains to Josh, like, you had this ability too, and your son has it, and he can't get back. He's like lost in
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And now that he's in this coma, there are spirits that are trying to possess his body. It's like weak right now. So these spirits, or these things that you're seeing or hearing or whatever, are these presences, these spirits trying to get into your son.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And So that's where it's like this kind of double story where it's like this possession, but then also this mystery of the further and trying to get him home, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and one thing I like about it is it's not just like okay, it automatically possesses him.
Yeah.
Like they're
takes
trying
time.
to stop it from actually being able to possess him.
Yeah.
And it's not like it doesn't go into this full like possession movie.
Yeah.
It very much stays in more of that, oh no, is he gonna get out of this? Like you actually get to see the process of before you actually get possessed, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we learn about the further. We get to see what it looks like. Jeez. It's
Stop. Our dog is playing with the cord on the computer.
So the further is basically like the upside down kind of from Stranger Things.
Yeah, Stranger
Yeah.
Things.
If you've seen that.
Mhm.
This is before Stranger Things, so it was kind of the new
What?
idea at the time, yeah. And so yeah, Josh has to go in there and get his son out, and we before that we learned about this presence that was trying to possess Josh as a child, and the spirit showed up in these pictures, and that's how they were able to see it. And then that's the whole thing with the pictures and why, you know, when he was a kid, he'd have these pictures, it was scary, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So, but Elise was able to like erase his memory of his ability to do this, go into the further, be a traveler, as they labeled it.
Yeah.
So he had to be reminded of that, and then go in there and get his son.
Mhm.
Now, so that's pretty much the whole movie. Now,
Yeah.
what to me stands out about this movie as well compared to The Conjuring, and yeah, I only compare it to The Conjuring because it's James Wan.
Mhm.
But the ending, this movie has a dark ending.
Yeah.
It has a twist at the end,
Mhm.
and The Conjuring just went randomly. Oh, remember the day at the beach, and then
Yeah.
oh, I'm not possessed anymore, and everything's happy within like 5 minutes. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The ending of
Conjuring
that
ended,
movie wasn't the best, but
yeah, it ended pretty late.
yeah.
This one, it was like, okay, everything's cool. You know, he's back, yay, and then Josh ends up killing Elise.
Oh man, you just went straight for
And
the
she
full.
took a
Who's in the
picture
next
of him.
3 movies? Crazy.
Yeah.
You guys are going all out on spoilers.
It's an old
And-
movie.
Yeah.
Well, oldish movie. The movie's a teenager now, so I think we're good.
The movie's a teenager.
So yeah, the ending. I like the ending. Did you guys like the way it ended?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was like, whoa, you're gonna end there, you know? But it was one of those things that it was like, oh my gosh, there better be another movie, you know. Of course I knew there was another
Yeah.
but if I was seeing it, you know, when it first came out, it would be like, oh, they better make another
Yeah.
follow-up on this. Like,
Well, something I thought that you said that was interesting that I didn't think of was the boy Dalton. Did he actually end up getting possessed? Because he came back, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't possessed before he came back. Like if Josh came back as the woman,
mhm.
then why couldn't Dalton come back as something else too? And so I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. The potential for Dalton to, you know, in the second movie. But anyways, Joel, what did you think? The ending?
I liked it. I like the it's not really an ending, it's sort of like an open-ended ending. Because I don't know like what their plans were for this franchise, if they even like had a plan to do a sequel, or if like, you know, they were gonna wait and see how people like this movie. So I mean, I guess there's possibility that there could not have been a sequel to this movie. So, which would have been an interesting way of ending it. Just like with her gasping and then that's like credits. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Turning
it's
around and
yeah.
gasping and then credits. Like it's I'm hoping they had at least one more movie planned when they did that, because that's
I
kind
feel
of
like they had to. Yeah.
yeah.
With how the second one plays out.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
Yeah, which we'll talk about that in the
yeah.
second one.
Yeah.
Because there's some connections that it's like, yeah, they had to have like thought this through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they had to have some connections. You can't just leave that ending hanging like that and to just like do a completely different story for Insidious Chapter 2.
Yeah,
That'd
but
be,
I
that'd
mean,
be
like
all bad.
the certain connections that are there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Oh,
that
okay.
was so
That's
cool.
what that was.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cliffhanger. Watch our
Mhm.
episode 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the music, the atmosphere, the horror elements, the story, even the family, like I feel like you get pretty connected with them. You feel for them with their son being in this coma for so long. Elise,
Oh my gosh.
her two little helpers.
Her crew.
Yeah.
But it's just a good cast, good characters,
Mm-hmm.
well acted, executed. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
Do you guys have
Well,
any like
even
negatives?
like
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna so with the positives about it, I loved how the baby was done.
Mhm.
Because like the baby was like such a fussy crying baby,
Mhm.
but because they added that like baby monitor stuff to it,
Yeah,
it was like the baby was being tormented too,
right.
and so
Mhm.
it was like it added like the extra level of feeling compassion for the mom of how stressed she was in her situation, and also like creepiness or like just on edge with
Mhm.
how fussy the
Her
baby
stakes.
was.
Yeah.
Like at times the baby was like you thought the baby was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so I don't know, because there's times that I feel like movies put in a baby and like don't do a lot with it and don't like really utilize it to increase the movie or like to help the movie out.
Yeah.
But this one I felt like they did it really well with how they
Yeah.
used the baby.
Mhm.
It was unpredictable.
Yeah, it was
I
unpredictable.
feel like the baby could have actually been taken or something, like
Yeah.
that. It was on the table,
Yeah.
anything could
Yeah.
have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that talking about the kids, so you're focusing on the baby and Dalton, the child in the coma. Is basically what the whole movie's about, is him in the coma. But
Yeah.
you don't really get to spend too much time with the middle child.
Yeah.
But there's that one scene in there that that they actually do, like, she finds an award on his desk and he's like, "Oh, you got an award? This is labeled, this is from today. Did you get this today?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, she's like, "Why don't you tell us?" And it's obviously there's stuff going on that
Yeah.
Yeah.
are taking over, like, importance here. And it's a good thing. It's hard to balance. And I think they did this better in this movie than they did in Conjuring, because when you have 5 or 6 kids in a movie, it's hard to really balance every character out.
Mhm.
And I feel like they did just enough with the middle child that was like, okay, you gave him a little bit to do in this.
Right.
And he
Well-
also got to deliver that creepy line too, where
Yeah. But they acknowledged how he was kind of
Mhm.
a background
Right.
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And they acknowledged it in his own world, and so that was pretty cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
What was the
and-
creepy line? I don't
Oh my
remember.
gosh, when he's like, I don't like when Dalton is getting up.
Walks
and
around at night.
Walks
Oh,
around
yeah,
at
when he
night.
walks
Yeah.
around.
He
Yeah,
wanted to
and it's like
switch
Dalton's
rooms.
in a
And she's like,
coma.
why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't like
yeah.
when Dalton walks around at night. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that
was
was
good.
like, oh my gosh, what?
He says it all like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just, he walks around and I
Yeah.
don't like it.
Yeah.
Like,
He
this
doesn't
is
know what
new
a coma
information.
is. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
really know what's going on. So yeah,
Right.
that makes sense for him to be like, yeah, he
Well,
walks around at night.
Yeah, and you must you kind of think from his perspective, does he think like Dalton's just playing it,
Yeah.
and he's just
He
like
sleeps
getting
a
out of
lot.
school
Yeah.
and just faking a little
Yeah.
bit because then he sees him at night getting up
Yeah.
and like being creepy towards him and
Mhm. I wanted one scene of that. I want to see what was going on
Yeah.
at night that he was like getting so creeped out about that he's like, I don't want to sleep in the same room as this guy. So
yeah.
but we never got that. But
Which left it to your imagination and
Right.
and even
Mhm.
like kind of creepier.
Right.
yeah,
What does this look like?
Yeah.
yeah,
So I have one negative.
Okay.
There's one part where the husband and wife are talking about like wanting to move to another house again, or like this was supposed to be different, and it was like they were adding this extra element to like we moved here for our life to be different, and it wasn't, and it was like it's not really a negative, it's just like well, they didn't really ever go back into that, so was that even necessary, like
hmm
into like what their life was previously.
yeah
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
tell that there was a strain, like their relationship was strained, or they were, from the beginning, you could tell like she was stressed. She had to stop writing music.
Yeah.
She was kind of in a
Mhm.
funk. So you could tell that there was something, and they moved because they wanted to, improve their life or whatever from what it was before. But yeah, you don't really.
They kind of made it seem like there was something
Yeah.
that we should know about or something, and then they kind of dropped that off, like
Yeah.
it was kind of a hole in the story, like, oh yeah, we forgot
Maybe
to go
it's-
back to that.
Maybe it's a potential, prequel in the future because this franchise, if it does anything, it does prequels like crazy. So maybe Insidious Chapter 6 will be will be about their life before. Probably won't be a horror movie because I just
It'd be just
all
a
that
drama.
can't happen to one family. Like it's just you got to draw a line somewhere.
Maybe there was like some postpartum depression or something because she just had the baby. She stopped writing music.
Well, it
She
seemed like it was something between the two of them.
Yeah.
So, and he started like staying at work a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, was there an affair or
Right.
something, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there was something there. They kind of gave the vibe in the beginning, and then they kind of had that comment.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah. And the thing is like, it just, to me, I don't know that it was necessary for the movie. And I feel like a lot of movies do that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of movies do that whole, this was supposed to be a new start. And that's like such a common line. I feel like, that's almost like a copy and pasted line in a like possession, haunted house possession movie.
Characters' lives don't start when we start the movie.
Well,
their lives started before that.
That specific thing.
That's
we
very
moved
specific.
Here to get, to have a new
fresh
start.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like always the line. And so it was kind of like, you didn't need to do that. This movie isn't that. So that's my only, that's just if I'm trying to find a negative.
Right.
So
you're nitpicking.
I gotta get something in there.
So I didn't know how to feel about Josh for the first half of this movie because, or at least until they move, the second time. because he's around when all that stuff happens at night, when like when um when the alarm goes off, the door's wide open, like it's all hectic that night. And then he's like, I'm just gonna I have to grade papers at work, so I have to stay here until like midnight. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
all that just happened to your family.
Yeah.
You're just gonna leave them like that for a few hours? Like, all right, that's not very responsible, like
Yeah.
loving thing to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess people, deal with how to be scared in their own ways, but when you're a parent, like you gotta put that aside and be like, I gotta go home like as soon as I'm off work here, not stay 6 hours later until
Yeah. Yeah, he was
Um,
definitely avoiding.
Yeah.
yeah, he was. And it's like that's kind of like a big thing too. Like the alarm's going off, the door's wide open, like you just closed that.
Yeah.
So
And your
something's
wife was
going on
telling
in your
you-
house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Telling you someone was
Yeah.
like in the room with her.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
the baby monitor story and all that. It's like, dang, man.
Yeah.
What needs to
And
happen for
then-
you to come home?
Yeah, I know, exactly. It's like, okay, your whole family's in danger right at this point.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
just
the
gonna
point.
stay
though.
home.
It's part of his character.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was definitely a harder person to like at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm. But then he just agrees and packs up and like they move and like without a fight or anything like that. So I'm like, all right, well, that's something that you don't see in horror movies like ever.
Yeah, it's
Where it
usually
usually takes until the end of the movie before they
Yeah.
move, not like in the beginning of the movie.
or before they believe the other person.
Yeah,
It's usually like the climax is, oh wait, this is happening. Like
yeah,
it's usually not
Yeah.
like halfway through the movie when one of the characters gives in to the other.
yeah. So at that point, like I was on board with this character again because at least he believed her, and even if he didn't believe her, he believed that she believed something was going on. And
Right.
that was
Yeah.
enough for him to be fine with moving.
Well, and
so
I feel like
was-
his mom had something to do with that.
Yeah.
It didn't specifically show that, but the fact that the mom was there helping,
Yeah.
very instrumental within the move.
Mhm.
I feel like she had something to do with like helping him be like, okay, fine, we'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, at that point I was on board with the character. I was just like there little things here and there that he would do was like kind of irritating, but after that, like the character was fine again for me. So and then that's when everything just happened after they moved the second time.
Mhm.
And the pictures on the wall in Dalton's room,
Yeah.
they were on the wall in his room before they moved, and they didn't notice
I
them
know.
until one of them fell, and it's
Yeah.
like you had to have taken them off the wall in the first place, put them back up on the wall, and you just never looked at it until one of them fell on the floor, and now you're just like looking at these pictures that I'm sure the middle child was seeing Dalton put up on the wall when he was walking around. So I'm like, you didn't look at these pictures like at all?
Yeah.
These pictures just randomly appeared on the wall in your son's room, and you just didn't even care to
Right.
look until
Then it's like connecting, like, oh my gosh, look at these
Yeah.
pictures. Like, it's got this red face guy, and all these.
He's flying. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What an imagination this kid has.
Yeah.
That these pictures weren't on the wall before he went into a coma, and now suddenly they're up on the wall. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some parts that were just like, okay, because I specifically because I remember the pictures from before I'd watched this movie before, and I wanted to see if I could actually see the pictures on the wall before they moved or before Josh picked up a picture, and they were there. They were definitely hanging up on the wall. So I'm like, oh,
Okay. Nice. Did some investigating.
I did. I was curious. I wanted to see. I wanted to know if that was something that
Yeah,
they paid
and
attention to.
yeah, and it wasn't something that you noticed the first time.
Yeah.
And so it was like,
Yeah.
okay, after
Well,
watching it the next time, then you
yeah.
notice.
Yeah. I mean, you don't tend to look at a kid's like when you're looking at inside the room, you don't tend to focus on like the wall of a room. So you just tend to look at what the camera is wanting you to look at, basically. And that's not what the camera's wanting you to look at. So
Yeah.
But
Okay. So if I had to pick something negative, it would be the gasp at the end. I thought that was kind of corny. And then it ends. I thought that was kind of weird.
yeah.
And and this is kind of a negative throughout the series, at least for the first three. I feel like the rules of the further are kind of just made up as we go.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you get back from the further, I feel like isn't very clear. Do you have to go back to your original place?
You have
do
to
you
go
have
back
to
to your
find
body.
your body?
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't feel like they do that all the time to get back. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
When they have to bring someone back, they have to bring them back to their body. If you intentionally went there, and then like when she has to get like startled awake, then she doesn't have to get back into her body.
So why couldn't that happen to Dalton?
Because he's already halfway there. She is intentionally there. He's not intentionally there.
He was. That's what he does when he goes to sleep.
Well, yeah, but he's not realizing that that's what he's doing.
He's not wandering.
He's not consciously saying, I'm going to go into the further.
So if you're consciously going, then you don't have to get back to your body.
Yeah.
You can just be woken up.
Yeah.
See, that's weird. Like, that's what I mean. The rules kind of just...
Elise has her own rules because she has her own powers.
Well, but same thing with Josh when he went to sleep to go into the further. Did he have to get back to his body?
Yeah, he had to get back to his body.
Okay.
I think what Dalton was that Dalton was lost. That was the whole reason why he was in the coma in the first place. Like, it's not that he just like wandered. He just like had an out of body experience. Maybe he did that at night for like 10-15 minutes and went back into his body or something like that. But he actually got lost. So it was more about him coming back. So like, who knows if he actually has to go back into his body when he was doing it before, because we don't have any knowledge of that. It's just this time that we're like, he has to go back to his body in order to wake up.
See, that's what I mean. Like, rules are unclear, I guess. It's like, when do you have to go back to your body? Is it only Elise who doesn't have to go back to her body? Can she just come in and out as she pleases, and as long as she gets woken up? Or, I don't know. That's kind of and I feel like it gets a little bit worse, or a little bit more. They play with it a little bit more throughout the series. In the first one, it's kind of a new thing, and they don't have too much that they can do. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a negative that I have throughout. So, and usually something like that would really irritate me, but because the rest of the movie is so good, I can I don't really think about it. Unless I'm trying to find something negative.
Well, I remember something in the third one that they do have to go back to their bodies. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. Sometimes it's like really specific. Like, we have to get back to the body. That's how we get back home.
Yeah.
But then other times it's like they don't. So
they can just see their body and be like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, or they just get woken up and then they're back. And it's not you don't need to go back to your body where you fell asleep or where you entered the further.
Yeah.
You can just get out. So.
I feel like I'm gonna have to watch the movies again to decide on my feeling on that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into grades. Joel, let's go with you first. Let's get the grade book out. Yeah.
I really like this movie a lot, and I do like the franchise quite a bit as well. I'm gonna give this one a 91.
Yeah. All right.
In 90s.
Trina.
All right. I'm gonna give this one a 93.
Hey, that's what I was gonna do.
Hey,
Nice.
Very cool. All right, 90s around the board. Yeah, across the board. There we go.
Yeah.
Across the board, much higher than
I went around the board. I collected $200.
Yeah, much higher than all the scores for IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, yeah.
They all remained in the 60s. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that's still our 80s, 90s. So it's,
yeah,
it fits.
Yeah,
and they were in the higher to mid 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, IMDb was 6.8, so
it was close to a 7,
almost a 7.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, look out for our upcoming episodes for the rest of the Insidious franchise and for the new Insidious film coming out in July.
Yes.
And
This has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
don't let Dalton bite.
Oh.